Good evening, everyone. Sorry for being a couple of minutes late. It was an urgent call of nature, so I just had to rush to the washroom. So, thank you for sitting patiently. We were just discussing outside that sometimes as you get closer to the evening, the audience, attention can flag. So, glad to see all of you, waiting eagerly. So, I have two eminent panelists here. My job is easy. I just need to ask them the tough questions. And it is for them to, come up with interesting answers. So we have about 28 minutes, and we'll try and close it before time. So maybe I'll just request each of the panelists to introduce themselves quickly. And then, I'll get going with the Q&A.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. I am Mohit Nanda, and I am Deputy Chief Technology Officer at IDBI Bank. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Rajan Taute. I work as in charge for technology transportation in NPCI Bharat Bilfield. Thank you.
And when we were having discussions outside, both the panelists, wanted me to reiterate that whatever, answers they share here is strictly their personal capacity and in no way represents, any views of their organization. So I think they clearly made it a point that I need to, underline that. So I'm just doing that on their behalf. So I'll start with you, Mohit. And, a fairly obvious, kickoff question. India has seen, rapid rise in digital payments. So what do you think has been the biggest driver, behind this rapid growth of digital payments?
So clearly, if we look at the overall payment scenario which has emerged, if you talk about post-COVID era, there is a good amount of surge in the UPI-related transaction. I talk about UPI specific because it's not the number of transactions that India processes is more than $250 billion. 250 billion, it's a good number if we talk about. So the main reason what we see is there is the ease of payment. Any bhaji wala, any sabji wala, or you take up any merchant is able to accept that particular payment, or by replacing and keeping card aside and taking a UPI, and that's a digital mode of payment nowadays, which is very much prevalent across India and across the globe as well. And the ease of payment is the main point, because without entering any card, any PIN, any CVV, using the details which he has to remember in the card, sophisticated measures which used to be there earlier also, that was also digital payment. But in UPI, what is there, that is the paramount level of what we can see. There's a surge in those transactions. So that is the main primary reason. And then comes of course, there is a level of trust. There's the trust which has embedded and come in the minds of the customer. Yes, we'll do this kind of transaction, we'll scan the QR code and my transaction will get successful. So that trust factor, that trust factor as well as that ease of payment has given this confidence to the customer. That's a basic fundamental.
Thank you, Mohit. Yeah, I guess that's, fairly self-evident. Rajan, the question to you is, what are the biggest challenges organizations face while adopting real-time payment system?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I'll turn it around a little bit actually. I will talk about the enablers, what really made digital payments so popular and possible in India. So first of all, the way it started, there were the free internet access or very cheap internet access, which was started in India, that set the foundation for the digital payments. After that, the digital Jan Dhan bank accounts, which were given to around 20 crore average people in India, that was the second stage. And then finally came the digital public infrastructure. What we see is like AAPS, UPI, NFT, RTGS, multiple payment systems which came around. That was how the entire digital payment infrastructure was built. So these were the enablers. But the challenges which are being faced is there are many banks today who are still running on legacy infrastructure. It is quite difficult for them to maybe enable API based banking, or integrate with let's say the UPI switch or our NBBL switch. So mostly it is all about the infrastructure which is still a little bit legacy. And as we move ahead, the challenges which are going to be faced is about when AI comes into the picture, right? And really you want to talk about even things like data residency, whether data can go outside India or not. These are some of the challenges I foresee as we move ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Rajan. Back to you, Mohit. when we talk about payments, security can't be too far away, right? So how important is security and fraud prevention? We keep hearing a lot in the media when it comes to building trust in digital payments.
So that's the cornerstone. That's the cornerstone for every digital payment. I talked about trust. Trust of the customer comes when you have a proper security measures that are in place. So today, as we speak, in every form of payment, whatever is being carried out, there is a good level of organizations work or a good level of amount of work which organizations do at the back end in terms of securing that trust and security in place, whether it is enterprise level fraud detection mechanism. There is AI enabled fraud detection mechanism now, which can be rule based also, which can be also AI based. That we can discuss maybe sometime on, maybe that can be a separate topic to that. But that level of maturity on the organization to organization, that will vary. But that is the main cornerstone in terms of the security. How is your trust is developed on the basis of this security measures. Having said that, since AI is already into the picture and many organizations are using AI as a cornerstone for securing their payments and in terms of developing that. So ML based the security, whatever is required in terms of the securing payments, that is the main defining factor in terms of the payments. Now that can come in various forms. That's an API handshake, secured payments. Maybe that may give a sort of seamless experience to the customers. Customers may not be aware about that particular thing, but yes, when it comes to at the back end level, at the bank level, or at the IT level, or at the technology level, there is a good amount of work that is to be carried out. Now there will be certain level of enterprise risk, fraud risk management, something like this which can be carried out on an extensive scale. That's the main pointer to this.
Thank you, Rohit. So Rajan, whenever we talk about any big initiative today, we talk about partnerships and ecosystems, because today is not about me, but about we. So from that perspective, when it comes to payments, how are partnerships between banks, fintechs, and technology providers shaping the payment ecosystem?
Right. So the partnership and collaboration between the banks, the fintechs, and the TSPs are very critical actually. So banks are the entities which bring in the trust. The customer face bank when it comes to putting their money. Then I'm so sorry. Yeah, and after that comes the fintechs. Actually, the fintechs create unique models like BNPL or like lending on for small customers. So the fintechs bring in the multiple credit models, and finally the TSPs are the people who bring in technologies like the cloud technology, AI technology. So whenever we talk about new digital payment solutions, they all come into picture because of the banks working with the fintechs and the TSPs. Right.
So we have about 20 minutes to go. So I thought, this could be a good segue to bring in, the audience members, right? As I said at the beginning, thanks to all of you for, sitting here, listening to the panel members answer all my queries patiently. If any one of you has any questions, obviously to them, not to me, right? Happy to, take them. So anybody has any question to ask? It's a good opportunity, right? You can ask questions without being asked. So you should make full use of it. No takers? Maybe you should ask the organizers to get you an extra drink, right? Then I think, people may ask questions. Okay. In the meantime, I'll go back to my questions. If anybody feels like asking a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a mic across to you, and then you can introduce yourself and ask that question. So today, any discussion, right, on any topic, any industry, anywhere in the world is incomplete without AI. Then people will feel, something is missing. And especially the speakers did allude to AI, as they were answering the first 4 questions. So I'll start with you, Rajan, this time. I'll just, kind of reverse the order. And in your view, what is AI? And the other is data, which is the food for AI, right? What role do AI and data play in the future of payment?
So AI and data are very happening as of now as we speak actually. And in terms of AI, there are broadly two sections. One is about training the model, right? And second thing is about inference. Now, training the model requires a lot of compute power. So as of now, it is not happening so much in India. So as of now, we are using models which are created in the US, Llama 3.1 or Gemma, or like multiple models. But when it comes to inference, when we are using the AI, that is where we see a lot of opportunity. Now, AI working with data, as of now, all of the organizations are sitting on a lot of data. So data is the new gold as of now, what we can say. So based on the data, the organizations can create credit models, right? Let's say, you have some payments data, you can create credit models on top of that. And then you could lend based on those credit models. Instead of, asking for people for, for property or other things for securing your debt, you can actually create cash flow based credit models. And based on that, you can do lending. That is one of the use cases which I foresee in the future.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Just want to add, because this AI topic is very interesting. So you can have multiple rounds of discussion out here. So AI also brings into the another angle. I'm not going into the negative side, but the fact is that must be discussed also over the period of time. So you would also agree that as AI will scale up, as AI will mature, the level of the fraud level of which is happening in terms of the AI, that will also scale up, and the cost of that cost of having that fraud which is being carried out, that will get reduced also. So though my maturity of the AI level of attacks which are there on the systems, that will also get increased. The most recent example to this is, I think, which is everybody is talking about, is the Claude risk, which has been flagged by ministry also, by regulators also, and banks and their financial institutions who are most vulnerable to this. So that's a perfect example that just to put in place.
Right. Just to bring in some humor, because it's just a dry conversation on payments, right? Since he said data is the new gold, right? Since the Prime Minister has said don't buy gold, we'll have to think of some new way of describing data. You can't even say data is the new oil, because oil is also, under pressure now. So we'll have to think of some different way to, describe data. On that note, back from humor to payments. So I'll start with you, Mohit. So when we look at payments, right, it's all encompassing, all industries and global. What are the trends that you see, over the next 3 to 5 years, and how should businesses prepare, for these upcoming trends or forecasted trends in payments?
So there will be good number of maturity. As I said, as the data will get mature, your AI related models will get mature. There will be good amount of use cases that can be built over on top of that. There will be agentic AI that can be put in place, which can carry out your multiple use cases of mandate based payments, which can be carried out where agentic AI can automate your entire payments. And in case that payment is getting failed, that agentic AI can take place and then can take over from there and conclude the payments. So in net, what will happen is that there will be seamless payments which will be there. Of course, there will be invisible payment, invisible side of payment, what we foresee, because what is getting in the background, person will be absolutely unaware what has gone and how this payment has gone through. Today, over the period of time, if we see the BHIM app of NPCI, the way it has started and the way it has come down, it has matured so seamlessly that we are able to execute our LIC payments mandate seamlessly. This will go more further in this aspect as well, because my agentic AI related aspect use cases, corporate related payments, where agentic AI can put their use cases, corporate payments, that can happen seamlessly. But this will require time. This will require data enrichment at the tech stack level. That is what main thing is. Then there will be some more use cases in terms of there can be various use cases in terms of bill payments or maybe other payments whichever is required, where we are doing those particular payments by mobile phone, that can be handled by by the payment aggregators. CBDC is a perfect example. CBDC based payment where whatever is carried out today, and government is directing these particular are the payment modes where you can carry out your particular payment. They will be programmable CBDCs. So you can direct your payments in a particular way. So that will come into the picture. That's another good example that we can foresee on that front as well.
Thank you. Rajan, your views?
Yeah, so I see opportunities in two primary main cases actually. One is like cross-border payments. As of now, when you do cross-border payments, like, it jumps at least 6 steps before it reaches the final destination. So if you use crypto tokens, like JPMC has a thing called JPM coin, right? You could do the same cross-border payments in literally in seconds, and that too at 1/10 of the cost. Right now, if you go to do a cross-border payment, it will almost cost around 2% of the entire transaction fee. So that will reduce the thing. Second thing is Mohit actually highlighted a very important point is about frictionless payments or invisible payments, right? So let's say I got down from Uber today, right? I didn't have to make a payment. It automatically debited my account. Similarly, there'll be in-car payments, like you're sitting in a car and automatically the payment will get paid. And finally, Mohit already covered that, it's something called account, like agent-to-agent payments, wherein you will tell your computers, I book a ticket for me I want to go to China next week, right? It will do the entire transaction for you end-to-end without even asking your OTP or PIN. So that is agent-to-agent payment. That seems to be a very good use case.
Sure. I'm just imagining, in the car you go and your family is there and they have to shop and, before you know it, your wallet is emptied, right?
Yeah.
That is the downside of that. Okay. So the next question is to you, Rajan, which is, Mohit referred to UPI, right? So do you think customer behavior has changed permanently post UPI adoption and digital first banking?
Yes. So customer behavior has changed, and it has actually changed for good. So earlier, people used to think about taking their wallets outside when they go for making payments. Now you really don't have to worry about that. You can simply go out, and maybe as you move ahead in the future, you will even be able to make palm-based payments, right? So you don't even have to take your phone after that. So the customer behavior has really changed, and the expectations are actually, we are very lucky in this country to be we can expect to make instant payments. When if you go to US and you try to make a payment, it will take maybe 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. Here we can make instant payments to each other. So that way, I definitely feel what we are expecting right now, instant payments, instant confirmations, instant refunds. We feel we are our country is a big leader in the payments front actually.
Okay. Yep. So Mohit, we talked about challenges in terms of adopting real-time payment systems. So one query linked to that, which is how important are interoperability and ecosystem collaboration in terms of overcoming these challenges?
More in terms of the tech stack will be important in that case. How is my tech stack factored? Because that factors at the organization to organization level. And more than that, how I've been as an organization dealing with my legacy systems. Because there can be many use cases under this as well, because there can be one organization who has complete revamped their legacy tech stack to a new scalable cloud-based microservices-based architecture, and there will be organizations who want to maybe just to underscore on the cost front, they might have to look into it, and they will have to go back to the drawing board and work it out, what is workable, what is not workable. So there will be case to case basis. I think that will be one particular scenario where I foresee that is a main thing. And the organization who are matured enough in terms of their tech stack, organization which are matured in terms of data stack, how their data is factored, how much it is more least level of noise in the data, that will be able to scale it up.
And if I can quickly add a point, interoperability, does everybody knows about a soundbox which when you go to make a payment, it says itna payment kiya hua hai, right? So what typically happens is the particular person who is selling the vegetables, he has to buy one soundbox from Paytm, another one from PhonePe, right? So interoperability means he just has one particular soundbox, and it will pay the message from PhonePe, GPay, Amazon Pay, everybody. That is interoperability, and that is what will happen in the future actually, right? Sure. And
And I guess if I'm not mistaken, this is a recent,
This is
this is the new recent development which has happened where NPCI has disclosed there will be a unified sandbox,
Okay.
it's coming.
which is recently, it was in news maybe 2 to 3 days back.
So we have less than 9 minutes left. Any questions from the audience? Thank you. Just, take the mic. Just introduce yourself. And then which of these two gentlemen you want them to answer, you can just mention that also.
So it's a key question.
Okay.
My name is Tushar and I represent Storage Commercials. I'm the CTO of the company. Sir, I think my question more is to Mr. Mohit, okay, because he gave a lot of use cases regarding payments and AI-based payments. So the worry is basically that for voluminous transactions, for more volumes of transactions, for the level at which NPCI is dealing with, okay, how do you keep track of the accountability of these AI-based payments? And we are also talking of invisible payments. So how do you keep accountability?
So the first thing is that I talked about trust. I am completely of the view that when we start with such kind of an volume, for example, the level of volume we are processing in terms of, I'll talk of UPI at the center stage because that has overshadowed every other mode of payment. So if we talk in terms of the UPI itself, these AI related model over the period of times, we'll have to monitor, scale up slowly. We'll have to take baby steps in terms of and how they learn over the period of time. That will be the first thing. And that is where actually they will, those LLMs related models, whatever is getting deployed, we need to work it out how those particular are behaving and what are the outcomes actually, whether it is meeting the general expectation. My answer to this is very, very, it will be little premature to say anything on that particular case because this is a very, very, this is a very, very open area right now. And we are yet to see that particular kind of scenario. Maybe there are banks, there are certain institutions who have implemented this and who are implementing it. But we are yet to see those particular results on the ground as of now because the volume in terms of the fraud related payments, in terms of their behavior pattern. Just now, sir talked about the wallet related things. And there is another use case where we say now people have stopped carrying phones also. They are wearing ring and going to the market and, so that is a behavior change. So everything has to be clubbed under one ambit and we'll have to monitor this over the period of time, how it matures, and then something can be decided over the period of time. Hope that answers that query. I don't know, but it will be too early to comment on that particular use case. But yes, of course, we'll have to train, develop those particular model and then curate them with our learnings.
Any other question from the audience?